Okay, I think we're recording right now. Okay. So we want to move on now after the break to do skill 1. We want to work on reading comprehension right now, okay? Let me just enlarge this for you. One of the, important skills in reading comprehension is, to be able to answer main idea questions. Like you would read a whole passage. A passage is like an article. It could be a paragraph or it could be an essay, where there are many, or not just many, let me say, just several, let me say, paragraphs, okay, about a certain topic. And you're supposed to try to discover what the main idea of the paragraph or the essay is. They will ask you, what is the main idea of this whole essay? Honestly speaking, the main idea should be in a sentence called the thesis statement. The thesis statement is like one of the main sentences in the whole essay, or a topic sentence if it's a paragraph, okay, which kind of summarizes what the whole paragraph or what the whole essay, if it's an essay, is about. So let's see how we can answer such a question in, some example paragraphs, or even, let me say, essays, if we have them. It says questions about the idea of the passage. Every time you are given a passage means either a paragraph or an essay, you will be asked this question. What is the question? What is the main idea of this passage? They're going to ask you this question. They might not ask you this question in the direct way that I have just done it right now. They could probably, kind of ask it in a different way, in an indirect way, all right? But basically, that question will be repeated on and on every time you take, let me say, or a paragraph, or you read a paragraph. Because that's the question that I ask my students all the time. Whenever we read about something, whether it's a paragraph or an essay, do you know what I tell them? This is the first question. What is this paragraph really about? What is it basically about? What is the main idea of this paragraph or this essay? And I'm sure not only in English is this question asked. Many of you, when you teach, you ask this question to your students, okay? You talk about something. It's just like, even if you were just talking, not, reading something, if we flip what you talked about into a paragraph or an essay, it would be a paragraph or an essay, really, okay? And usually after speaking, you would ask your students like a general question. That is really what we mean by main idea, okay? The general question, like, what is this really all about, okay, that I've been reading about or talking about, okay? So it is very common for reading passages in the reading comprehension section of the TOEFL test to have questions. So different kinds of questions, but it's really the same question, honestly speaking, about the overall ideas in the passage. So what are the overall, like the general ideas that are mentioned in the passage? The most common type of question asks about the main idea. See, they might ask you like this: what is the main idea? What is the topic? What is this title, really about? What is the subject? Okay, they might ask questions like that. Occasionally, there will also be a question about how the information in the passage is organized. And later on, they will ask about the organization of the information in the passage, okay? Let's just focus now, on this first skill, which we have to get used to. Answer main idea questions correctly. Almost every reading passage, there will be a lot of repetition. I'm sorry to say this, okay? But, it's okay. Repetition sometimes is good. You get used to what you need to, look for. Almost every reading passage on the TOEFL test will have a question about the main idea of a passage. See, almost every reading passage. I think every reading passage does, not just almost every. Such a question may be worded in a variety of ways. So sometimes they may ask the question, the word order of the sentence or the question, is of different ways. There are what different ways to say the same thing. You may, for example, be asked to identify the topic. Like, what is the topic about? They might, use the word subject instead. Okay. The title, they might also ask you, because there won't be a title, like, what do you think the title should be? Probably something like that, because, they leave it without a title so that you can decide what the best title should be. Because, all of you have written, master's dissertations, or PhD dissertations. You know that the title should be telling, all right? of what the content of the essay, because what is a dissertation anyway? It's an essay, really, okay, about a certain topic, right? Or about a certain issue. You've proved something. You've decided there is something going on, and you want to prove that, you know, it's something that of significance. That's what you did, really. All right. Or they might ask you something like, what is the primary idea? Like the main idea. Primary means main. And again, look directly here, it's what's the main idea? Okay, so there are different ways to really ask about what the main idea, and these are the ways. These are the words that could be used when asking about the main idea. These questions are all really asking what primary point the author is trying to get across. To get across is like to, you know, provide you with, all right, in the passage. Since TOEFL passages are generally written in a traditionally organized manner. Yes, guys, these, let me say, passages are written in an organized manner, specifically for TOEFL. It is not difficult to find the main idea by studying. Do you know why? Because these are good, really, paragraphs and essays. The topic sentence, which is most probably found at the beginning of a paragraph. Most of the times, topic sentences are at the beginning of your paragraph, okay? It's like the sentence that summarizes what the whole paragraph is really about. You know, sometimes, some people, when they start writing a paragraph or an essay, they give, you know, they write a sentence called the hook. The hook is like a sentence that one, you know, writes in the paragraph or in the essay that hooks the reader's attention, that catches the reader's attention, which isn't really the main idea. It's just a way to grasp the reader's attention, okay? So we just have to be aware of that sometimes happens, and it's not always the topic sentence. So if a passage consists of only one paragraph, this is a passage, nas. Passage means nas. That consists only of one paragraph, like this one. See, one paragraph. We have here indentation, and then we have a period. We don't have other areas where there is some kind of indentation. Indentation means to leave, you know, some space here before you begin a paragraph. It shows that this is a paragraph. We don't have another one here, so this is one paragraph, okay? You should study the beginning of the paragraph to determine the main idea. So this is a tip, this is a clue about how to find the main idea. Listen to this. Let me say, is it going to be a passage here? Just a passage. Let's call it a passage, because we don't want to say just a paragraph about it, okay? You know, listen to my reading. In the philosophy of John Dewey, a sharp distinction is made between intelligence and reasoning. So intelligence is something and reasoning is something else. According to Dewey, that is John Dewey, intelligence is the only absolute way to achieve a balance between realism and idealism, between practicality and wisdom of life. Intelligence involves interacting with other things and knowing them, while reasoning is merely the act of an observer, a mind that beholds or grasps objects outside the world of things. With reasoning, a level of mental certainty can be achieved, but it is through intelligence that control is taken of events that shape one's life. Wow. What's the difference between reasoning and intelligence, all right? So according to John Dewey here, you know, tells us about the difference between intelligence and reasoning. In the philosophy of John Dewey, a sharp distinction is made between intelligence and reasoning, etc. So this is really, the main idea is right in this topic sentence. The topic sentence usually is the first sentence in a paragraph. It summarizes what the whole paragraph is about. This passage, guys, that means the mawdu' here, all right, you know, over here, this passage in Nas, has a certain topic, which is a mawdu', right? Now, the topic is usually in the first sentence, which is the topic sentence. In Arabic, we call the topic sentence الجملة الرئيسي, guys. That really summarizes what all the, you know, let me say, passage is about. Because later on, we have details. That is, we call them supporting sentences, sentences that prove, or let me say, establish, this topic sentence in different ways, all right? Or discuss the topic sentence in different ways, all right? Yeah. So the question is, what is the topic of this passage? Remember, because we said that this is what this skill is all about. Every time you have a passage, you're going to be asked, what is the topic of the passage? Now, do you have to read the whole thing to understand? It's better to do that. But generally speaking, you should also have, in mind that the answer lies in the topic sentence, really. Okay, don't go looking here for it, for example, for the answer, right? What do you want to say, Dr. Ruba?
I think the correct answer is B. This distinction made by John Dewey. Is it right?
Distinctions made by John Dewey. Distinctions means differences, just differences. Do you think so? This is very broad. This is very general. Okay?
Yes.
But it's very general. Do you know what distinctions mean? Wait a minute. Wait.
How intelligence?
Wait a minute. Let's give
Okay,
Dr.
maybe
Ruba.
D.
Wait. Can I say something? Let's give Dr. Ruba her last chance to speak, and then we'll ask someone else to speak. Dr. Ruba, finish up. Tell me more. What do you want to say?
How intelligence differs from reasoning in Dewey's works. Is it the right answer?
Yeah, you know what you can do. You can just go here and get the right answer, because it says here the best answer is therefore D, the idea of how intelligence differs from reasoning. You know that we
No,
can...
أنا ما قرأت. No.
It's okay. Anybody can do that. But I mean, before that, really think about the question, okay? You know why, Dr. Ruba? Because here, when you say the intelligence of John Dewey, is this really, this paragraph, is it about the intelligence of John Dewey, the cat John Dewey? Look, the topic sentence says, in the philosophy of John Dewey, في فلسفته لهذا الشخص John Dewey, a sharp distinction is made. في فرق بيتم نقاشه من قبل John Dewey حول ايش intelligence and reasoning. reasoning إشي وintelligence زي الذكاء. reasoning اللي هي الإنسان إنه يشغل مخه يفكر تفكير, اللي هي right, to reason, is to use your mind in a certain way to make decisions, to reason, but intelligence is just, being clever. Okay, so this has to do with, your actions, all right, also here. Okay, intelligence is something like probably God-given, all right, but reasoning means that you use your mind in certain ways, like to make decisions. This is what I would say, to reason, all right. Yeah, so this is more an active thing than this. Okay, this is more active than this. Okay, yeah.
Okay, can I ask
in general, wait a minute, a sharp distinction. So he makes a sharp, like a great distinction, between intelligence and reasoning, not between so many things. Look at this. So we're not talking about, this passage does not talk about the intelligence of John Dewey. That's not the main idea. We're saying that John Dewey has a philosophy, and in his philosophy, he talks about the difference between this and this. This is the main idea. Okay, so let's find something that means the same here. This is not one of them. So we exclude A. B, distinctions made by John Dewey, يعني فروق بجريها وبعملها John Dewey. صحيح هو عامل فروق, but فروق means not two. It could be more than that. Is it really that? يعني هاي مش دقيقة مع إنها صحيحة إلى حد ما. Okay, بس بالmain idea questions, guys, we want to choose the best answer. That's the thing. وبيعمل فروق, okay, بيفرق بين شغلات هون, okay, بس this is not the best answer, because if you go look here, Dewey's ideas on the ability to reason, يعني هل هو المين idea, الفكرة الرئيسة بكل النص في أفكار دوي حول القدرة على الإنسان يعمل reasoning no, مش ما بيركز على هاي لحالها. He has more than that. هي مش أفكار عن reasoning, no, هي about this and this, not one. Okay, now look, is he also talking about how intelligence differs from reasoning? كيف intelligence هاي اللي هي شغلة بتصير بالدماغ, الذكاء, بتختلف عن reasoning اللي هي عملية التفكير, all right? و to reason means to make decisions also. In Dewey's work, yes, because he says that a distinction is made, the writer here says that John Dewey has made a sharp distinction يعني فرق, between this and this. So this is what it is. So D is the best answer because it reflects the topic sentence. Okay, this is why. But if you have something to add or to say, Dr. Ruba, go ahead. Your hand is up. I don't know if you want to say something here.
Yes, I want to ask. You said previously that the main idea in the of the passage is in the first sentence. Okay, is it a rule or there is a
Yes,
exception?
it is. It is a rule. In general, it is a rule. Because if you go back here, huh? If a passage consists of only one paragraph, this is one paragraph, right? Over here, you should study the beginning of that paragraph to determine the main idea. See what they say? Okay? Okay, Dr.
Okay.
Ruba? Okay?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're not here to discuss this whole paragraph, by the way. We are here to, get to know whether it's this paragraph or any other paragraph, how to decide where, where we can find the topic sentence and what it is. Okay. So if you take a look at the discussion here, look what it says. The first sentence of this passage discusses a distinction between the ideas of intelligence and reasoning in the philosophy of John. Do you see how they are focusing here, or they focus on the first sentence? So this is probably the topic, huh? Most of the times, that's why. A quick check of the rest of the sentences, like if you go and read the rest of the sentence, just quickly, read them quickly, huh? It confirms that the topic is in fact the difference between intelligence and reasoning, huh? Now you should check each of each of the answers to determine which one comes closest to the topic that you have determined. Answer A mentions only intelligence. Look at it, huh? Just intelligence, huh? So it is not the topic. Answer B, what about answer B? Mentions distinctions that John Dewey makes, but it does not say what distinctions they are, right? Like here, it's about intelligence and reasoning, not just distinctions. Furuq what? All right? Okay, so we should pay attention to that. But it does not say specifically what type of distinctions, all right? Answer C mentions only reasoning, huh? About reasoning, huh? Here, so it's not that, so we have to be careful. So answer C is incomplete. The best answer is therefore D, the idea of how intelligence differs from reasoning, huh? Comes from the first sentence of the passage, which mentions a sharp distinction between intelligence and reasoning, okay? Like I said, we are not here to discuss this passage. We are here, this passage, what is the goal behind this passage? Not to discuss every sentence and what it means. No, that's on you. You do it if you want to learn every single word and to understand, this philosophy of the difference between intelligence and reasoning. We are here, why? To answer main idea questions. Can we do it whether it's this paragraph or any other paragraph? That's the goal. Got it? Just for you to understand, because you might think, oh, why didn't, the doctor probably discuss the whole passage? This is not the goal. Okay, to discuss the whole passage is not our goal. Our goal, like I said, is to understand, how to answer main idea questions, all right? Let's take a look at this new paragraph over here, this new passage. If a passage consists now of more than one paragraph, sometimes you will find in the TOEFL section of the exam, the reading comprehension section of TOEFL, a passage, we call it a passage that consists of more than one paragraph. Like here we have two paragraphs, as you can see. You should study the beginning of each paragraph. See, this is a tip also. Study the beginning of each paragraph to determine the main idea. Okay, so this beginning and this beginning is what we're going to focus on. Doesn't mean we're going to read we're not going to read the whole thing. No, we're going to read the whole thing, but our focus should, should be on the beginnings, of each paragraph, the beginning of every paragraph. Take a look at this. Nitrogen fixation. So this is not my major at all. This is a scientific major. As you can see, they will talk about different kinds of issues here in the TOEFL, section or reading section of the TOEFL exam. Nitrogen fixation. Okay, this is a process, guys. It's a scientific process, اللي هي ثبات النيتروجين في الطبيعة probably. All right. Nitrogen fixation is a process by which, process عملية, nitrogen is continuously fed into biological circulation. So في دورة النيتروجين here, all right? الطبيعية, how this happens. In this process, certain algae and bacteria convert means change, what? Nitrogen into ammonia and H3, this newly created ammonia is then for the most part absorbed by plants. The opposite process of denitrification, denitrification, returns nitrogen to the air. So this is opposite of this, okay? During the process of denitrification, that is returning nitrogen to the air, bacteria cause some of the nitrates from the soil to convert into gaseous nitrogen, or nitrous oxide, all right? N2O. In this gaseous form, the nitrogen returns to the atmosphere. Atmosphere, اللي هو الغلاف الجوي, all right? That's what it really means. So again, we want to take the advice again. I just generally read the, 2 paragraphs, but it says here, if a passage consists of more than 1 paragraph, you should study the beginning of each paragraph because, there might be a difference here. So nitrogen fixation is a process by which nitrogen is continuously fed into biological circulation. This is what nitrogen fixation. How is it fixed? Because it goes through a cycle, a biological circulation. Okay? Yeah, that means, it's always available. That's why. The opposite process of denitrification. So this seems like this, nitrogen fixation is denitrification. The opposite process of this returns, what does it do? Returns nitrogen to the air. Okay, so let's see. What do we think this is, the proper title is, or the proper, let me say, either title or let me say main idea. Look, let's see what the question says. Which of the following would be the best title for this passage? Which of these is the best title? I think we noticed that there were, here something like related to opposites, right? Over here. So A, the process of nitrogen fixation. Is this all that we talked about here in these 2 paragraphs? Each paragraph talks about a topic, by the way. Usually when we have more than 1 paragraph, each topic sentence is reserved, let me say, to discuss a certain idea, really. Ruba, Dr. Ruba, what do you want to say?
I think it's incorrect to say that the process of nitrogen fixation, because this is the main idea in the first paragraph just. But
exactly.
The second paragraph, the opposite process, then I think B is the correct answer to nitrogen processes.
Good job. Thank you. We have Dr. Noor Al-Hawari. She has her hand up. Do you want to say something? Good job. That's right. But let me see if she has any comments to add.
Yes, دكتور أنا بدي أوضح إنه ليش نمبر سي ودي wrong هدول.
Okay, good job. Thank you. Please do.
سي هي نفسها ال process of nitrogen fixation، فإحنا بنحكي عن الباراجراف نمبر 1 منها، من الباسج بس. أما دي إحنا سوري الباراجراف نمبر 2.
Yeah, I got it. Yes, I understood what you were trying to say. I knew you were saying that 2 is like 1, focusing on one issue, one process. Yes, true. Yeah.
بالضبط. ودي عم نحكي عن برضو الفقرة الأولى من الباسج، فهي number B the best answer.
Yes, exactly. We're talking about 2 nitrogen processes. One process
لأنه هي الوحيدة اللي جمعت two process.
Fixing nitrogen in a kind of cycle, and the other has to do with also another kind of nitrogen, let me say, process, which is the opposite. Okay, whatever it is, whatever that opposite is, because I don't know, I'm not too much into nitrogen and science, but you can still understand what is going on, even though you are not experts, on nitrogen, right? So we should be able, although our major is not, chemistry or, let me say, nitrogen fixation or whatever, but the idea is that we should be able still to tell, what is going on, because our, English is developed enough to, to be able to understand that, right? So like I said, if we have a passage made of 2 paragraphs, we read the first line, the first sentence, the first topic sentence, and we read the second topic sentence to make, to get us to understand what is this all about, okay? And we notice that this first topic sentence is opposite to this, really, and there, or let me say, not just opposite, but 2 different, processes of, that are related to nitrogen. So yes, the process of nitrogen fixation, this is one idea, this is not enough. So we have 2 nitrogen processes over here, and the return of nitrogen to the air is 1. Over here, we went to a different, topic, narrow topic here, the effect of nitrogen on plant life. No, we didn't even talk about that at all. Now, this is a totally different thing, okay? Which the passage really does not discuss over here and does not focus on. So in a passage with more than one paragraph, you should be sure to read the first sentence of each paragraph. So this is my advice to you. This is the advice of the book to you, to decide, the subject, title, or main idea. Because if they ask what's the subject, what's the title, what's the main idea, basically we're looking for the same, information. In example 2, the first sentence of the first paragraph indicates that the first paragraph is about the process of nitrogen fixation. If you look only at the first paragraph, you might choose the incorrect answer A. No, because you cannot just do that and look at the first, sentence in the first paragraph, which would be a good title for the first paragraph. So like, imagine if the question was written in a different way, like, what is the topic of the first paragraph? Because, sometimes even in the TOEFL exam, this is a question, by the way, like, what is the title of the first paragraph? What is the title of paragraph 3? What would be the best title for the third paragraph? If you have an essay, they might ask you something like that later on. Like, you will have another skill later on about such, issues, okay? But here, this is not the case, okay? We're asking about the general, theme, the general topic of the whole passage. That's why we have to focus on the question and understand the question, because we want to see, are they asking about a specific paragraph or about, look, when you say the passage here, the whole thing, well, that means the 2 paragraphs together, okay? And if we have 5 paragraphs, they mean the 5 paragraphs together, okay? So back to the explanation. If you look only at the first paragraph, you might choose the incorrect answer A, which would be a good title for the first paragraph only. The first sentence of the second paragraph indicates that the process of denitrification is discussed in the second paragraph. Answer C is incorrect because the return of nitrogen to the air is the process of denitrification. That's what it means. And this is discussed in the second paragraph only. Answer D is incorrect because the effect of nitrogen on plant life is not even discussed in this passage. The best answer to this question is answer B. The 2 nitrogen processes are nitrogen fixation, which is discussed in the first paragraph, and denitrification, which is discussed in the second paragraph. And the following chart outlines the key information that you should remember about main idea questions, all right? So you might be asked a question like this, like you might have a passage, not this passage, any passage, okay, besides these 2, but sometimes a passage could have 1 paragraph, so focus on the topic sentence, that is the first sentence, okay? If you have 2, read both topic sentences, okay, of the first paragraph and of the second, all right, in order to decide what the topic of, let me say, or the title or the subject or the main idea or the main point or the primary concern, okay, of the, let me say, passage is, okay? You might have questions like this. What is the topic of the passage? What is the subject of the passage? What is the main idea of the passage? What is the author's main point in the passage? With what is the author primarily concerned? يعني بإيش الكاتب primarily concerned يعني إيش مهتم بشو غالبا, okay, أو بشكل أساسي. Which of the following would be the best title? All right, يعني there will be options and they will ask you which one of these is the best title. Where to find the answer? وين راح نلاقي الجواب? The answer to this type of question can generally be determined by looking at the first sentence of each paragraph, okay? This is the best place to find the answer. And all I can say that we want to take a look at a little bit more of this table, how to answer the question. So what do? This is what we did. Look what we did. We did this. Read the first line of each paragraph. Did we do that? We did. We read the whole thing. But at the same time, we must focus on the first line of each paragraph, which we referred to or which we called the topic sentence, okay? Look for a common theme or idea in the first lines. Yes, try to find the main idea in the first line. Pass your eyes quickly over the rest of the passage. Don't ignore the whole passage, guys. Just quickly take a look at it, just in case, there might be something, that, we didn't pay attention to, okay? Or that might be important for us to pay attention to. Check that you really have found the topic sentence. Eliminate any definitely wrong answers and choose the best answer from the remaining choices. So also look at the other, let me say options. Eliminate means like remove. This is wrong. This is wrong. We don't need this. We don't need this, so that you can be sure that this is really the answer that you choose is the best answer possible. Okay. I think we should stop here. Okay. And maybe you can work on the other passages here. And now all of you have the answer key, don't you? Don't you all have the answer key now? So you also try to do some work by yourself, and inshallah next time we will do more together. Okay. Do you have any questions before I tell you goodbye?
Thank you, دكتورة. يعطيك العافية.
Thank you for attending, and inshallah
Thank you,
we will see
Doctor.
you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Goodbye.
Bye bye.